Our trial ended 1 year ago with an acquittal. An important result, but not the end of the struggle. Under the same legal framework and driven by the same racist logic, people on the move are still being arbitrarily arrested and criminalized as so-called smugglers. Right now, on the island of Crete, around 50 teenagers fleeing war in Sudan are facing life sentences. What does it take as a young Sudanese in Europe to get a prison term longer than the life you lived so far? Steering a boat, handing out food, speaking English. In other words, trying to survive and help others to escape a war. While European politicians mourn the killings and atrocities in Sudan, those who escaped are being locked away in Europe. This hypocrisy is unbearable. It is deadly, it destroys lives. If you count on solidarity, don't rely on European states. We call on you, support our comrades from Decriminalize. They organize lawyers and support. They make visible what would otherwise remain hidden. They stand in solidarity with those on trial like they did with us. Together, we fight for the freedom of movement and against the criminalization of migration. Fight borders, not smugglers.
1 year ago, our trial ended, but out of the news doesn't mean out of reality. Let's have a look at the Serbian-Croatian border. In December 2021, Dragan Umicevic, a Croatian volunteer, was charged with facilitating unauthorized entry and sentenced to a fine. When the family crossed the border again after losing their daughter during a previous pushback, Umicevic wanted to make sure that this time, at least, the rest of the family would be able to ask for asylum. As a result, the police opened an investigation against him, and he was fined in 2018, against which he lodged an appeal. This is just one example, as an outrageous act of revenge and intimidation aimed at punishing and stopping those who fight against the cruel practices at the borders.
Since the end of our trial, the Juventa is free again. The Juventa is free. But under what conditions? For 7 years, the ship was seized by the Italian government. And in these 7 years, nobody of us was allowed to enter the ship officially. We were not allowed to do any repair works on the ship. But the ship was most of the time moored on a public space, so everybody could enter the ship, and that happened a lot. Everybody took away whatever they wanted from the ship. Now, the Italian government says they are not responsible for what happens to the ship while it was seized. But we say, yes, you are. You are responsible, and we will go back to court and we will clarify that you are responsible. We will go to court and sue the Italian government that they have to repair the Juventa, that they have to give it back to us in the conditions they took it away, in a seaworthy way, able to go out and rescue some people.
It's been 1 year since all charges against the Juventa crew were finally dropped. It's been 3 days since it was Justin's birthday. He turned 19. He spent his birthday in prison. A few weeks earlier, he was sentenced to life. Justin is one of the 50 teenagers from Sudan currently locked up in a Greek prison. The others are Emmanuel, Joshua, Yusuf. They're all between 17 and 21. Arresting people for steering a boat is nothing new and not limited to Greece. But the case of these young Sudanese boys on Crete stands out in its brutality. 50 teenagers, barely adults, who fled a brutal war, sentenced to life because they steered a fucking boat. Is it just me, or does it feel a little bit extreme? Their case makes it clear what this is actually about. They are being punished for daring to disrupt the existing power structures defined by race and by wealth, and a system that is upheld precisely through borders and restrictions on movement. When the Juventa crew was put on trial, there was an outcry. People showed up, they organized, and it mattered. Where is the outcry for the boys? Just as we stood by the Juventa crew for 7 long years, we must now stand with Justin and the others. They need lawyers, visibility, people who will fight with them. The system divides to rule. Let our solidarity not be divided.
Europe stole the resources of the global south for centuries, supported authoritarian regimes to serve its interests, and is one of the main responsibles for climate change. But when war, hunger, political persecution, or climate disasters forcibly displace the people on the global south, Europe hires militias, builds prisons and walls, and omits its duty to rescue at sea. While facilitating migration is a way to claim for global justice, Europe makes it a crime. massively imprisoning those who survived and who help others to survive. Because migration is life and autonomy, facilitating migration should not be a crime, but a right and an obligation.
The one thing that gave us strength throughout our trial was solidarity. The support we felt and experienced kept us going. Now it's our turn to pass it on. To the 50 Sudanese youth locked in juvenile prison in Greece. To all those criminalized just for surviving. Because solidarity isn't charity. It's resistance, it's power. It's how we fight back, together. Let's keep solidarity alive. Let's make it louder, stronger, unstoppable.